Yes.
All right. And thank you.
She should have them when the time comes. I asked her to copy you guys. I have hers, but I didn't cut. So I'd like to call the meeting to order and we can do the pledge of allegiance, please. Okay. It's 9 o'clock, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Where's the flag?
Right here. I'm sorry. I didn't bring the big one back. It stayed up in the front.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'm just gonna briefly the citizens communication just set aside for agenda for citizens and those to address the board. As of now, we don't have any, so the board will not take any action at 8. I'm not listed on the agenda. And there's no one to address the board, so we'll just move forward. And so the minutes, did everybody have a chance to look at the minutes? The minutes from the 2 meetings, the 27th meeting agendas, minutes, and the September 15 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yes.
Any questions on any of the minutes? Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
September 15th, I'm
So
sorry.
moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes have been put forward.
Did we accept the agenda?
No, we did not. We needed.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
We can go back. Everybody has the agenda there. It's the minutes, treasurer's report, bills payable, old business, the budget, especially a look on tuition reimbursement on the budget. I think that was part of it. The Osage Beach Road, the director's job description, and then new business will be the 20, we'll discuss the dates, the president's comments, any branch reports that we need to discuss, and then we'll go into closed session.
Hey, did we ever vote on the closed session in the first place? Or did we just proclaim it?
You mean to go into closed session?
Uh-huh.
At the last meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
So we seem to vote on going into closed session when we go into closed session, but I don't think this should be a closed session.
I think that, I thought we had to make a closed session if we were talking about individuals and their personal information.
Yes, but that doesn't seem to be true according to statute. I brought the statute along.
Okay.
It says hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees by a public government body when personal information about the employee is discussed or recorded. However, any vote on a final decision when taken by a public governmental body to hire, fire, promote, or discipline an employee of a public governmental body shall be made available with a record of how each member voted to the public within 72 hours of the close of the meeting where such action occurs, provided, however, that any employee so affected shall be entitled to prompt notice of such decision during the 22-hour period before such decision is made available to the public. As used in this subdivision, the term personal information means information relating to the performance or merit of individual employees. So we're not talking about an employee and we're not talking about their individual merit.
We will be.
Everything-
We will
We're
be.
talking about hiring and firing, not
Well-
firing.
That's how part of the
Yeah.
policy of,
Yeah, I
Hiring.
think in terms of the public interest, that people have a right to know who we're considering. So I can see both points of view. The public should
I
know.
would, let the public know after we've had a chance to review the resumes.
Well, then
And.
you'd have to do this 72-hour provision. You
Well,
have to
well,
let
yeah,
the,
but,
you have to let
that's
the
not a
person
problem.
know whether we are considering their application or not.
Well,
I just don't
no,
see,
when you apply for a job,
yeah.
you just get a letter back saying, we received your resume
that's-
and we'll contact you at a later date.
Yeah, but that's not
and-
how this works.
I also, this is all part of the closed session. I think that the public knows that we're looking for a director.
Mhm.
If we need to, I don't have any problem with making it, that we've had 2 applicants. I don't know that we need to say their names of the stuff. All that does is create a whole bunch of
Yeah,
havoc.
yeah.
What if somebody applies that doesn't want the public to know that they have applied.
And they have their other,
No.
and there's another job that
And
they're
they-
looking
and
for.
they-
Yeah, or they are employed. They
And
don't
then
want
you're
their employer to
releasing
know.
personal, private information to the public, and you could be sued for that.
Nothing in the, you can also be sued for having closed session when you shouldn't. There's nothing in the person's
this is
resume that is
not a-
private.
This is not a closed session right now, and you haven't even accepted the agenda yet.
I know, and we're accepting the agenda,
I
and in order
motion
to accept the,
the agenda as written.
in order to accept the agenda, we have to address the closed session aspect of it.
Well, from my perspective, I'm not even sure we ought to be having a closed session today. We
Right.
don't have enough applicants. I mean, where I can't imagine, I mean, with the two people that we have right now, I mean, we need more applicants.
Yeah,
Okay, so we don't really, from my perspective, we don't even need to go into closed session. That it shouldn't even be an item that we ought to be addressing at this meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's one thing we need to be addressing,
What's that?
salary. We never,
We-
I thought that was decided at the last
We-
meeting.
Yeah, we do have that
With
addressed.
some of us, but not with completely everybody.
we didn't
I
vote
think,
It was
on it.
discussed at the
I
meeting.
I think Adam decided
It
that
was-
he had
it was-
questions about whether or not
We-
when I put in the 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that we talked about, and actually, it's not on any of them except for the Indeed one, if I understood correctly.
We haven't done
Well,
anything with
in all
Indeed.
honesty,
Because of
Wait.
that.
I don't think that needs to be a closed session item.
Another thing we haven't voted on is Vicky.
We
Oh,
did
yeah,
vote
we did
on
that.
Vicky.
That was
we
taken
did?
care of,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
That's what I thought you were talking
Yeah,
about.
Yeah, we got that taken.
oh, okay.
No, we voted that my email, and then we voted, but the question came up was that you didn't, it was all, we're getting way out of, we should really go into turn to keep this on track, as well as we're gonna be absolutely everywhere.
Well, but Bill's point is that
So-
before I can approve the agenda, I've got to be sure that, he agrees with the
So
agenda.
how about I move that we strike the closed session from the
Okay.
agenda?
Bill moved that we eliminate the closed session
For this meeting.
for this meeting.
I
Right.
second.
So, for discussion, so if we do this,
There's a motion on the floor. You've got a second. Okay, now you can go.
You second
well, I
it?
can't
did.
second.
Mm.
You
I
second
seconded
it, so it's
Yes.
open for
Yes, okay,
discussion.
right.
So, with the closed session, if it's not a closed session, and there are the minutes, and we're posting our minutes on the website, then everybody will know about the minutes on the website. The option for the closed session was, my understanding was, it gives everybody 3 days to think about everything before everything's posed, and that necessarily doesn't actually go out there. I don't have an issue one way or the other. It's not like we're trying to keep anything away from the public.
Right.
I think we're trying to discuss it, look at talents, look at this, look at that. So I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I just know from personal experience
Mhm.
that when the public gets out there and they knows who's coming here and who's coming there, you are butchered. Personally, I was butchered being
Oh,
appointed to this board.
Oh,
If you
Okay.
need copies, I'm happy to show you. It's a sore spot with me. I was butchered for no reason by people I don't even know.
okay. I know
It's not
that,
funny, John.
I'm laughing because I agree with you, okay?
Well, I'm
It's
just saying,
sad.
it
It's
is very
sad
sad.
that situation
So
happens,
that's,
but
I think
thank
that's,
God for social media.
well, in a sense, yes, right? Everybody shows their own colors.
Right. Well, they don't show their colors. They hide behind their
Well,
colors.
Right.
okay, I agree with that. So then I'm sorry. As this president of this board, my opinion is that we don't need to expose those people to any flack from outer. They'll have enough if, when they get appointed or whatever. We need to decide how long we're gonna wait. Till December, we have 2 applicants. And I have more information, but it's, we need to decide now, the closed session or not closed session. The closed session minutes are kept for 72 hours, if I understand it correctly, and then anybody who wants to walk in and ask to see those minutes can see them. Is that correct?
That is
Well,
correct.
sort of.
If a decision is made, isn't that how that reads?
Well, if the decision isn't made, there was probably no reason for a closed session.
Well, there's
Not
no reason
necessarily.
to,
Well, in the case of the particular applicant that we're gonna possibly talk about, I first heard from other people that he was applying. So he's making it very public that he wants this position.
Well, from my perspective, I don't think we ought to be looking at anybody right now. We don't have enough applicants,
We can-
much less the quality of the applicants that I think that we need. So that's why I made the motion, because I felt like that if we didn't do closed session, that would not be an agenda item for today. If we're talking about moving this to a public discussion of candidates for the board the director's job, you know, I'm not there. Neither one of these candidates is what I'm looking for. Okay. And until we get somebody that makes it worthwhile, I don't think we ought to be looking. How, you want to set a date, but if you don't have good candidates, there's no use, wasting the board's time. And I think that's what we'd be doing.
I kind of sort of agree with you in that I think we should probably set a date in December as a kind of a drop dead date. And whatever candidates we have, we could review all at one time. And we ought to look at each of the candidates. We ought to rate them in an objective way. Not just because we favor this person or that person.
And another thing too is, I lost my train of thought. But by December, we should have a few more candidates.
Right.
And
we can say that's our final
yeah.
view.
But we need to send a letter just saying that for your resume, you'll be contacted at a later date. And that's it. Because when I've ever applied for a position,
It's a
I
courtesy
would
letter.
get an immediate letter that my resume was received. And
And I have done so with the two candidates already, thanked them for applying, but I don't have the rest of the letter to tell them when we would be expect. I don't want to ghost anybody. So that's the conversation I wanted to have. I guess the problem with discussing it all out in open, if we say names and all that kind of stuff, we're looking just at the whole community. And at that point, I don't think that we're ready to do that yet.
No,
And I
we're
don't
not.
think that we need to address names. You can ask,
No.
you can
We can
address
just
all of those
Applicant
issues,
one, applicant two.
or however you want to do it.
issue
I
them a
mean,
number.
yeah, I mean,
Well, in terms of, this is probably a broader discussion and we can have it offline, but in terms of serving the public interest, they should have a right to know who, at some point, who the candidates are and how we're deciding, because this is not a private company. The public should have a right to say, yes, I know that person and I think they'd be great for the job.
It is part of the board trustees' duties to be legally responsible. So
And
if
to
doing
represent
something
the
like,
people.
I'm just saying, it's part of the board's trustees that we cooperate with public officials, the boards, and we make public relations. But is it a legality that we're on here and everybody's talked and then that person gets slammed with this and that? No, I'm sorry, I disagree with, I disagree with that.
Okay.
I cannot support that.
I don't
If we can't
understand why.
discuss who we are and get a feel for what we're looking for in closed session.
I would just refer to the applicants as applicant one, applicant two, issue them a number as we get the resumes, and
I think,
we ought to be
then
I think
when
we
we
should
make
just-
our final decision, we will reveal the name to the board. But all the other applicants, their information should be kept private.
okay, we should limit our discussion right now to just voting on what John seconded.
Bill moved to remove the resume review under closed session. John seconded, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I forgot that I recommended it. Yes. Are we ready to vote on that?
All in
Just-
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
No.
So we have 4 ayes, 1 no.
I think it should be kept quiet in closed
Well,
session.
it just
Discuss
means
it
we're
first.
not talking about it today.
Just- we're just
today,
removing it
we're
from the
just
agenda
removing
today.
it from the
Okay,
agenda
Yes,
okay.
that's all we're doing.
All right,
So,
understood. Yes,
okay. And it's approved. All right.
Okay.
Now we're back to
Back to business.
minutes.
Did we ever
Approve
approve
the
the
minutes.
agenda? No,
On
the
the
agenda.
agenda?
We
So-
approved the
Okay.
agenda. I moved to we approve the agenda.
I second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so then we're going on down to the minutes. We approved the treasurer's report. Did everybody look and review the treasurer's report? Are there any questions for discussion on the treasurer's report?
I do have something under the treasurer's report. Let me get there, sorry. We need a motion to add Bill's name to our Oak Star bank account.
Oh, wow,
Woo!
exciting.
So this brings up a question
And then
that
I
I
have
have.
the paperwork from Miss April. She sent them over.
So I guess I'm confused because I thought the treasurer's position was the one who came in and signed all the checks. Or if there was something that it was the president and the treasurer that did that. So I'm curious then to have everybody else's name on the account serves what purpose, Vicky? Maybe I don't understand.
Anybody is able to sign the checks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is we're elected for 4 years. When you're voted into a position, that's for 1 year.
1 year. So everybody is
So
on there.
everybody really needs to be on there.
If
Okay.
Miss Denise
Okay.
can't make it for some reason and I need a check signed, but also the director will sign checks. The new director will sign checks as well. And most of the time, that's what the director will do. You will not even be called to do that.
Is there a board signature over a certain limit?
Yes.
Yes, yes, we have that.
Okay.
Yes. But I would like to ask that Bill be put on the
Is there a motion to put
I
Bill?
motion to put.
Is there a
Bill on.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have the paperwork and all of you get to sign again.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go over that before we leave.
Okay.
So another question for you on the treasurer's report, the money market part. This is just Oak Star, right? I didn't see Central Bank,
Right, those are just certificates of deposit. I do not
so
do,
you don't put those on the,
no.
so, okay, so,
The certificates of deposit will be on the balance sheet.
okay,
Okay, this is just the treasurer's report of money coming in and out of those two, the operating and the general account. The money market
Yeah,
account.
it just appears as certificates of deposit.
Deposit, correct.
okay,
1,200,000.
okay. I'm just questioning.
Yeah, no, you have it. I always look on here to see where I find all the stuff.
So did somebody move to?
Yes.
Okay. To approve and add bill.
Yeah, we all said aye. Are there any other questions over the treasurer's?
I motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we move to bills payable, the disbursements of September 2023. Any questions for discussion on this?
Motion approved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion that needs to be on the disbursements payables? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So bills payable go into the old business. So, everybody's had an opportunity to look at the budget. And so is there discussion on the budget that we need to have?
We were discussing tuition assistance and the budget.
Okay.
And, what I did, is I called around to the counties that surround Camden County and their libraries to see who, provides tuition reimbursement to their employees. Now, I didn't call individual cities, I just called each county office and I called each library. And we are the only people who provide tuition and reimbursement. Over time, that could be a detriment to our budget. But you know, I personally think that it should be removed from our policy manual.
Well, that's an okay thing, but right now the budget is conforming to our policy and that is board policy. So I don't think we can remove it from the budget until we readdress board policy.
And I also,
Well, I don't agree with the amount of tuition, assistance on here either. That is huge.
And I called, the counties, and the only place around Camden County doesn't have it None of the schools provide tuition reimbursement. Teachers have points that they go if they go on to school. The only place that I found that has tuition reimbursement for their employees is the city of Osage Beach.
The two banks, the two local banks, Oak Star and Central Bank do provide tuition assistance. Walmart provides tuition assistance.
Are they public supported?
No, they are not.
So that's a difference.
Right, there, it is that is
That's
different.
That's the
It's
biggest
a difference
But it
because
is,
of
it
funding,
is
but
the
it is,
market that you're in.
right, it
This
is
is- this
a
is-
competitive
this
job
is-
market.
Taxpayer funded though. And we can't ask our taxpayers to pay someone's tuition if they can't pay their own children's tuition.
But it is our
Yes.
policy that we do this.
We have to vote on your policy.
That policy exists. It is our policy.
And we have two people right now that the policy says that you have to, our tuition reimbursement is based on them
Based
getting
on
their degree.
performance. Yeah.
And they have not yet gotten their degree.
But their
I will-
degree has nothing to do with library.
Business
Um,
administration,
Yeah.
and
But there's-
An English major?
that's the closest they had for library science. And then she has a minor in marketing.
I was disappointed, Vicky. I asked for A
Maybe
and
that's
B.
my fault.
I'm just saying, I asked for A and B. I wanted to know what their courses were. I didn't get really what their courses were for information. I got where they're headed to get what their information is. But as great as these people are and how wonderful that they appreciate the library, there's nothing on them about, oh, I'm gonna stick around and help the library. I'm gonna stick around and work at the
Oh,
library.
well,
And the
Deb
one
said that
girl
she
said
plans on
she wants to
retiring here.
teach.
Retiring here.
I don't have any names
Okay, all right.
because
Applicant.
I just didn't want any names, but
Employee A, that's,
I think then that we probably need to either make an amendment. We need to discuss the policy for sure. I don't have a problem with tuition reimbursement. I have a problem with how much the tuition reimbursement is. And I think that if this is a public supported, facility, maybe it needs to be a question that we put on the library district to ask the public what they think, since they're paying for it.
Yes. I agree with all of you.
I mean, I think that, you know, it's an opportunity where, I'm sorry, half the people can come in and say, I'm gonna come work for the library because they're gonna pay for my school.
Yeah,
It's- but
exactly. And
it's
that's
a-
gonna drive our budget into the.
I think the
that
point
you're-
is well taken to support, but are we supporting the whole community with everything that we do? Are we a social service, so to speak?
If you
I don't know,
stand back,
define
if you,
social service.
if you
Well,
stand back
social-
and if you stand back and you look at all the budgets, I went from 2020 to present. And our,
We just
What's-
doubled it.
what's the first line item? I need to get to the first line item
First line item,
the first
building
line.
improvements or reimbursement?
No, I'm sorry, the first group, the capital expenditures.
Capital expenditures, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I believe capital expenditures are down in this budget from, if you look back to 2020, I believe capital
It's down from
expenditures.
2022.
Yeah, and there's, I don't see mismanagement. I do see that we need to get on with business. We need to get a director. We need to get a budget passed and we need to get this library running. As far as tuition, as far as tuition goes, that is policy and we need to continue to look at that. Tuition, now it is class by class discretion, correct? If they're taking the class,
Yes.
they have to get
Yes.
class
Yes.
by class discretion. And
Agreed.
and is that approved by the director, the
Yes.
branch manager? Who does that?
The director. It
Okay,
goes first to the employee supervisor and then from the supervisor to the director. I will say that we only have two people participating now, and since the inception of this tuition assistance plan, we've only had we've had two people complete degrees and two that are working. And that has been, I believe it was adopted in 2015. So we don't have a lot of people taking advantage of the
But
system.
when the word
We
gets
are-
out,
we
they're
are-
all gonna be coming.
we are getting a new director. We are overseeing the situation and this tuition assistance as it exists can be very well managed. And I think that We also don't need an exodus of employees. We need to be able to show why we are or aren't gonna do that.
And we have to operate in good faith. If
We have-
they've already started in a program that's according to policy, we don't want to just pull
Well,
the rug
then
out from under
then
them.
we need to change that policy
Yes,
and
but
lower the
that's-
percentage of.
We can amend the
reimbursement.
policy.
And that can happen after we approve the budget.
And
I
It should
can't approve the
apply to the
budget
next
for
one.
$17,000.
That's I mean, I have to agree, that's double.
Don't we
Yeah.
have-
Well,
And when you look back at the other disbursements, I thought I could saw in previous disbursements, Matt from Osage Beach was taking a class.
no, no, those were small fees, small reimbursements for taking, the test to become a notary.
No, it was more than $25. I'll have to go back and look.
Okay.
I should have brought it up and did that.
Because there's only 2 employees that are using the tuition assistance, program. Now, if they take a class or have to take, training for like their passports, I think all that was free. But to become a notary, we do reimburse them for that. So that might go under that as
But
well.
that's not a tuition reimbursement. That's really just a required training.
Right, but it is training that they are
I-
being
I get it.
reimbursed
I
for.
know.
Yes. And I'm the one who increased that because it was unrealistic in the budget, because we're already over the budget for 2023 in our, we had $5,000 and we're already over that.
Mhm.
So I upped it because it was not realistic.
Well, I guess if people quit because, they aren't getting tuition reimbursement, then why aren't they at the library in the first place?
Yeah, and their heart's not in the library, their heart is in their
I think
own
you're kind of missing
pocket.
Can I make a motion that we leave, reimbursement, that is currently in our 2024 budget at the amount at which it is in, until such time as we make a decision on the policy for, college course reimbursement.
I will
I'll
not
second
vote
that.
for this. No,
So this budget goes from now until,
The end of 2024.
exactly, so
Right.
I can't.
Don't vote for it. We got a first and a second. Why don't you call for a vote?
I'll call for a vote.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No,
nay.
Let's move
not
on.
for, and my only nay is because of the amounts
You've
that's
already
there.
expressed your
If
opinions.
that's
Let's
right.
move on.
Okay, so the tuition assistance policy will remain in effect as is until,
Well,
Amended.
it will remain in the budget
Will remain in the budget.
When we do the
until it has
budget.
been,
Yes.
till it has been discussed.
Should we do March, then March?
Okay, and
That allows us to get up
I
and running
would
and
like
actually
to put
look at
in,
things
the
thoroughly.
agenda for next month, a review of the tuition policy.
But the budget will already have been.
We can amend the budget
okay,
accordingly.
I need, the tuition assistance policy is going to, you made the motion that it will remain in the 2024 budget as presented.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
until December.
It's
this year.
It's in the 2024 budget as presented is what we voted on.
Right, okay. So it's gonna be 17,000, whatever that number is, in the budget for 2024.
Yeah, now is
Okay.
there a provision in this organization for amending the budget after the fact?
Well, we can,
You can, yes, but you also don't have to spend it,
Right.
okay?
Right,
That's a discretion of,
That's the thing about this is it is at the discretion of the director. We're
Right.
hiring a director. We're overseeing this. We're
Right.
not just letting
Yeah.
letting it head down the road with $17,000 and
Yeah.
not doing anything with it.
Yeah.
If we,
It's just a budget.
yeah,
It's an opportunity for every public person to come in and say, I wanna work for the library and I get my
Good, let 'em
education
come.
paid for.
good, let them come.
They still have to be approved by the director and he's not gonna go.
Well,
for
and they
it.
make-
He or she is not gonna go for
The
it.
courses that they're taking, there's not any, these are two comments from these people that are not planning on, there was nothing even stated in writing about, that I'm gonna stay and work for the library.
That's not true.
I
Look at the
didn't see
bottom
it.
of one of them. It
Yeah.
says, I want to work for the library for my working career.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the
I
other
believe
one
the
said she wanted to teach, so,
I think that,
Okay.
Well, maybe I misunderstood the assignment or asked for them for other things. I think Shauna means she would like to teach as,
No names.
oh, sorry.
It's already out now.
Well, nobody
So we know
knows who I'm
they are.
talking about. Applicant B, I
Folks,
think
this is a dead issue. We've already voted on it. Whatever your opinion is your opinion. We have voted on it. Let's move on. We've got a lot of things to do, and I'm not gonna be here for 4 hours today. So let's move on.
all right, so that tuition assistance was done. Now, back to the entire budget, correct?
Right. Other issues on the budget.
What have we done with volunteer gas?
What, with what?
The gas for volunteers. Is that a settled issue? Are we gonna continue? with that?
Oh, okay.
Because that was something, that was the other thing that was kind of holding up the budget. And again, if you've got a good swath of volunteers and they're showing up regular and they're doing the work, again, we lose those volunteers. You know, we just need to keep business running right now as it stands. And if we just, you know, upset the apple cart right out the door without, you know, we get monthly reports for these meetings. The next budget shouldn't be a surprise. You know, we got a carp hung around our neck as new people, and we're trying to figure out, and I don't know that it's even that bad. There's some things that we all have concerns with, but what I'm saying is we got a burden put around, I should have said carp, I'm sorry. That was, we got a burden put around our neck that we weren't ready for. We didn't have enough knowledge. The next budget shouldn't be a surprise. We're getting monthly reports. We'll be giving input on those monthly reports. I have a monthly report I want to give input on because I have concerns about wording. I also have input on a standardized monthly report instead of what we're getting. And so at some point, I hope I get it. It's not an agenda item, I guess, but are the reports?
You can come in and talk to me anytime.
All right.
And or call me or email me and we can discuss what kind of reports you would like to see in the board packet.
Okay, so are these reports, we get these reports, we're discussed at what point?
Yeah, I
So
don't-
these reports, we get these reports and stuff, but they're not on the agenda, so we don't discuss it here?
Well, no, you can discuss them. Those
Okay.
are the financial reports. That's under the treasurer's report.
Okay.
Well,
Payable.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
You're required to approve the financials.
Right.
Okay.
You're not required to approve the operational reports. But they
Okay,
can be brought up and discussed anytime.
without being put on the agenda beforehand, like I
Oh,
can bring
absolutely.
it?
It's all, it's there. If you have,
Okay.
if you have a question, you can certainly,
Okay.
you know, ask that question.
I'll get into that, but my, you know, I feel like this budget, you know, there's nothing drastically sticking out about this budget. When I look back at the previous budgets and some of the amounts are down, the budget is overall larger. We've got escalating fuel charges. We've got raises that have come along over time. I don't see anything that sticks out like a real sore thumb.
Yeah.
If there's things we want to address and cut this budget back as how do I say this? In principle, not dollar amounts, but in principle, we got to do that next year. I believe that this, like I said,
I guess what I'd like to say in support of what you're saying, and for the sake of the audience, that we're really looking at a budget that shows a comparison to last year's budget and the years before is actual. So we're not just completely lost in this. This is all
And the
a
report
typical budget based on existing
numbers
numbers.
and your profit and loss that is in your report gives you all the information for the budget for this year, for 2023 and where we currently stand.
That's it monthly.
And the other
Right.
thing to say is, we could look at drastically cutting any budget, but we're tax supported, the money still accumulates.
We have to spend it.
Well, yeah, it's not like you can do anything else with it.
Yeah, the public wants you
Unfortunately,
to
that's
spend the
just the
money
way
that
it
they
is.
collect for the things that they,
So we could spend it for other things, but we're gonna spend it.
Right.
Because it just keeps on coming.
so if we did cut the budget, we would need to address that .093, whatever that number is about the levy. If you actually wanted to decrease public
You'd actually
spending,
have to
you'd
change
have
the
to
levy.
change the levy.
And why would you roll back a levy?
Well, I
You
know-
just wouldn't do that.
Well, I
Why
know
would,
government
no,
doesn't
actually,
do
why
that,
would,
but, yeah.
I'll take, why wouldn't you? I'm not saying that we need to do that. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
if we were looking at a levy that was, if we're looking at a budget that's if we were looking at a budget that we thought was way out of line and we cut that budget back, we pared it down, we would necessarily lower that levy. Why wouldn't you
Just
lower
when-
the levy? It's
just
the
like when the
people's money.
legislature decides
Right,
to
but I
cut
don't think the
taxes.
state,
I mean, that would be disingenuous not to.
right, the state auditor makes sure that there is no windfall. That's the state auditor's job, or no hardship.
Right,
So if the levy, what usually happens, and typically,
yeah,
if the assessed valuation goes down, the state auditor sees, oh, well, that's not gonna work because these public entities are not gonna have the money that they need to support themselves. So the levy will raise. So
okay.
they pretty much determine, based upon the assessed valuation, what the levy will be.
But I'm sure we could petition them. to
There's,
reduce
there's,
it.
Right.
there's a
Let me
petition
just say
method.
this.
You
I-
can, I'm sure you
And
can.
right
It's all
now,
part of
you all are
transparency.
new, like you said,
Correct.
and I appreciate that position. And we all grow as we are part of an organization and we learn more about that organization. You will find, as I think you've mentioned, at least peripherally, okay, there does not appear to be anything out of line in connection with the 24 budget as compared to what has historically happened in the past. And I think that you will find that this organization is extremely modest in a lot of stuff that they do, okay? To make sure that we do not overspend our revenue, okay? And so from that perspective, if we find sometime in the future that we are way overspending, $400,000, yes, is there a way to go about doing that? I don't know, but do we have a responsibility, to either figure out whether those dollars can be spent elsewhere where they're not being spent or whatever? Yes. And if we do make that decision, then I think we have an obligation to our taxpayers to do something about that, okay?
very
So
well-
I agree
Very well
wholeheartedly,
said.
okay? But as far as this budget, I agree. I mean, if we want to talk about our own personal feelings about certain things that are in the budget, $17,000 as it relates to a $2 million budget. Come on, folks.
$17,000 adds up over time.
Yes, ma'am. And so does
And.
$2 million.
and the
Ma'am,
40
look, it's my time. Let me speak, okay? If
Okay.
you want to speak, you speak after me, all right?
Yes,
So
sir.
at this point, unless there are other issues with this budget, then I make a motion that we accept the 2024 budget as submitted, period.
I would like to go line by line.
I'll
If,
accept-
if you
I'll
want
second
your
it.
17.
We have a motion on the floor.
I'll second it.
It's open for discussion.
It is
Um,
now.
Okay, I would like to, if you want your $17,000, we need to go line by line and see where we can decrease, spending.
Then we'll have a bigger overage.
No, we won't.
We have an overage now. Our income on the budget is a little bit more than the expenses.
I don't agree with that, and, any other discussion? Because we do have a motion on the floor, we can discuss it, but then we have to vote on the motion.
Any more discussion?
No, I just think we should go line by line and look for, the $17,000.
Then if that's the case, then if the motion doesn't pass, then you can make that
I
recommendation.
think that's something we need to do very, very intensely for 25.
Mm-hmm. For 2025.
That we're trying to do something without enough knowledge. This budget is, like I said, I've looked at the previous budgets and I don't see
I
where.
looked at the previous budgets as well.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at 20, which was some sense of normalcy.
You know, and I'm
Okay.
sure everybody else has looked
Yeah.
at the budget.
I don't see, except, like I said, except for normal increases of energy costs, of maintenance costs.
Gas.
The energy costs, yeah, and and wages, that's driven those line items up. And we also, and it might be more concerning about, no, I don't want to go into that.
Yeah, right.
But I think we're beating this to death, and it needs to run. I think it needs to run.
Mhm.
And I think come 25, we're gonna have looked at this for a year. We're gonna have discussed all together agenda items. We're gonna bring up agenda items about things that we see in the budget that need eradicated, improved, changed. But we don't have the time to do that. We got in on this late, and we don't have the time to do it to where we can,
Well, we do have until December, but we are holding up the district libraries from planning their summer programs with not having their budget. We are responsible to the public, so I think if the public has questions, the public should be asking us about where we're spending our money and whatnot. I think there was also some concerns about car rental and the expenses for the cars that we were buying or purchasing. I think there were some concerns about that, so I think that
That was an idea that they were too cheap, I think.
well, I don't know that that was the case at all, but we're just, perhaps they're not to your liking, but it was just a discussion item that there were some concerns regards. And we're still accountable to the commissioners
Mhm.
as to make
Yes.
sure that we're doing the public and
We're not accountable to the
to the
commissioners.
people.
We're
To each other
we're
and to the-
accountable, we
to the
are
people.
accountable to this board, okay?
We're
Period.
accountable
I call
to the
for, I call
people.
for a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
I'll vote aye for now, but we will have to definitely do the 2025 line by line.
I wanted to make
yes,
just make note on this. Since in 2022, 21, 20, and 19, we had a positive net income. So our net income was over our expenses.
Mhm.
Just so that gives you an idea of that we were operating efficiently.
Mhm.
Okay, to move on then to, so are we all okay with the budget? We passed the budget for now,
Budget is approved.
but it will be looked at, Vicky, line by line for 2025.
Sure.
Yeah.
Usually the director, will start working on the budget because we don't get the figures until usually about August when we have our budget and tax hearing. We can kind of go ahead and put some stuff together based upon what the previous year and the actuals for the year before, but we will not actually get how much money until the assessed valuation comes out
But
in
the-
I don't
August.
see that the line items are gonna change much, and we can discuss those line items.
You know,
Unless we
the
change.
budget is very fluid based
Yeah.
upon what happens.
Yeah.
If you have equipment breakdown, cars breakdown, that's the type of stuff that will make your budget wacky, out of whack.
But we start working on that in March, do we not?
But the
The
budget,
budget,
we don't get in figures until August,
so
so,
August.
yeah, maybe June, July.
So we'll have the same issue as we had.
No, because
If-
you'll have input in.
If the board wants to start looking at, the line items, they can do that anytime. You can put that on the agenda
Right.
and you can do it.
Mhm.
Gonna beat this thing to death, you can beat it to death.
And you can call me at any time. And we can go over what is
Right.
paid by each item.
Okay, so we'll focus the discussions over then about the budget. We'll just okay it and
Yeah.
we'll look at the line items. As far as the 1081 Osage Beach Road building, I will say that I talked to Jonas and he's not had a whole lot of people interested in renting. Basically, his thoughts were it's because it's too high. We're wanting to rent it for $1,500, and his suggestion was to move the rent to $1,200. And right now, the comments are that it's not roadworthy. I mean, it's not visual from the road, so that's probably a part of the problem. I also, asked Vicky to investigate what it would be cost to paint it inside and to update the carpet and, the tile and see how much that would cost. I mean, you should have had those documents and hopefully you guys looked and reviewed those documents. I think even to rent it or do anything else, we need to decide if we're gonna keep this building or not keep this building. And if we're gonna use it, then we need to figure out what we're gonna use it for. I mentioned, to open it up to the community for discussion in their own podcast with the criteria of what we allow from it, because with the public library supporting it, it is for the public within realms. Like last time, John made some propaganda comment about that we didn't want to get into. And I agree with that.
Propaganda?
Well, I think that's what you said. I'm not, you know,
You were
because I
concerned
was-
about what
I was
use it might
concerned
have.
about how it would be
Yeah.
used.
Right, well,
Right.
so we have to set the criteria and the rules and the regs and how much we'd wanna rent it for. Those sound booths is what I was thinking of, and, I was also going to throw out if anybody wanted to go with me to Jeff City, to the Wilshire Library, to look at that soundproof room that they use for the disabled kids, to see if there's anything up there that we could transfer to here. Now, I don't know how big of a disabled population we have here, visual, hearing, et cetera. But I thought it was at least an opportunity to check that avenue out. I just haven't driven to Jeff City to.
And that's a case
do
where we
that.
might increase the budget because of the use of that building, for
What,
example.
what do you all think about, expanding the makers,
The maker
Makerspace.
space into that
I
building?
think
Because
that would be great.
you'd have you could do podcasts, you'd have the music room. You
I would
could even
use it.
take that kitchen area and turn that into a home ec, which would expand
Right.
makerspace into home ec. It's not just tech. I mean,
Yeah.
you could have a home ec part of makerspace with some sewing, maybe some cooking.
I think it would be a great maker space.
But I
It
think,
would.
so and what you have the makerspace centralized here. This is his office, and I think this is where he wants to be. Plus, it brings people into this library.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking that possibly a shuttle from here that's available to that makerspace. And so it's managed by, the young man here.
Mark.
Mark.
But why wouldn't it just be a separate new makerspace?
Yeah, it could be a new maker, you
Yeah, we
know.
have someone over there that could man that makerspace. One of the Osage Beach employees, Matt, he's familiar
Okay.
with the, 3D printers
The
that are
same
over
here.
there now.
The same
They
here.
just are in the back. They do not have the space like this that we have.
But what, you have to then think of what kind of expense that would be. 'Cause
Right,
you're
we'd have to do
probably-
something that would be maybe by appointment only, and we get a lot of people in our makerspace here because the school's right across the street.
But
That
you
draws
have-
in a lot.
But you
as
have the
well.
Osage Beach, the School of Osage, that may be
Yeah.
part of the robotics as well, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's,
could be there. Now, if you go back, we're talking about IT and all this stuff with makerspace. I mean, on the technology report that Mark did make us up, he did apply for a grant. The grant does cover the one MK new 3D printer for Osage Beach. I don't know if that's the same thing we're talking about, because I'm not real
Yes.
familiar with that. But I mean, if we did have all of those and the grant does come by, and he just told me that we won't know about the grant until the end of the month. So we'll have to wait to see how goes that, but if we do have extra funds, then, it's not, and I don't know that if Matt doesn't want to do that or isn't appropriate, skilled wise to do that, why they can't have the Maker Mark space here versus having 2 days here and 2 days over there, but I just think that we need to, definitely need to, we need to do something with that building. Now, my understanding was in asking questions, that building was bought with and you'll have to help us out with this, John, is that,
Vicky can help.
is to, expand the Osage Beach Library.
Mhm.
Was the whole
Parking.
reason to
Just
buy
the-
that,
the
not just for
parking, I thought.
parking, but to also attach that building to the library building.
oh, I don't think it was ever intended to attach that. Do you, John?
No,
No, I think they were bought it originally for the parking.
Mhm.
And, that was then to be discussed what was going to be done. We had difference of opinions on the board.
You could survey it to keep the parking and sell the building. You could.
You could,
you can do part of it. You gotta have a certain amount of space for the building too,
right.
based
Oh.
on city code. Yeah, I mean, there was some discussion as to, what the needs might be as far as expanding over into it, on an as-needed basis, but not to combine the two, buildings. Originally, that building, Osage Beach building, is not the best building, okay, as far as structure and so on and so forth. It has some issues. So the question then became, if we decided to replace that building, it needed to be designed differently than what it is right now. So maybe that's where your thoughts might be. And so if we rebuilt the building, we would have land that would allow us to expand into the type of building that we needed with adequate parking for the facility. So yeah, all of that was the reason for purchasing that.
Well, I don't know the history, so I'm
Yeah,
I'm out
just-
asking
yeah,
questions.
yeah,
And
no,
so,
yeah, no. I mean, that's the answer. And-
After seeing that building and seeing, that the rooms were not as large as, I had envisioned.
Right.
You really couldn't use it to like rent out the rooms for a party or this or that. It's too small.
It is.
But the makerspace
It'd
idea,
be perfect.
it would be perfect because
divide it
it's
up,
already
sound use-
divided into spaces and that would be wonderful.
It would eliminate distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun idea and I would use it, but it's an extra expense.
And
So you're talking about cutting 17,000, but I bet it'll cost 20,000 to keep that.
And I
Not
would
only
hate
that,
to-
but you also have to, you have to do some infrastructure work on that building,
Mhm.
okay? And depending upon what that is, might also determine what you would have to do to make that building handicap accessible, which it is really not at
that's
this
true.
point.
That is-
So, I mean, I think Bill had said early on in one of our previous meetings that if we were going to make some decisions on using this building ourselves, then we need to do like a little business plan for that.
Mhm.
Decide what we want to do, take a look at the costs, and then, approach it that way. And I think that falls right in line with what everybody else is saying. Renting that space, we thought that would be good. We anticipated that whoever moved into that space, and some of the people who were very interested in it, wanted to restructure the inside, take out walls,
Mhm.
do things like that. They would be responsible for bringing it up to however they wanted it, painting it, floors, ceilings, lighting, which kept us from having to incur those expenses.
Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons why we thought that was a good idea. I'm a little disappointed in Jonas because the reality is when he tells you that, $15,000 is too high, he's got to bring somebody to us,
Is there,
negotiate that.
is
Okay.
there another, realtor who can, handle this?
Well, Jonas was picked because he is probably the largest leasing group. Okay.
Well, what about a place like Berkshire Hathaway or?
Most of them don't deal with commercial real estate. They're mostly residential. And there was someone else who was getting into the business that I had looked at and talked with and had come over. I've had realtors come over and look at that building, commercial realtors and so on and so forth, and get their recommendations and ideas and concepts and stuff. It just had, while COVID helped the lake, I hate to say this, I love it, because it has made our lake what it is today in a year and a half. It has also created some problems. Okay, and that's caused a problem for us on that building, so.
well, and Jonas went on to say too, in talking about the money for, I guess there was an insurance company that wanted to come and lease it and do it that way. But like you said, they wanted to make some changes with the structure of the building. And so there was some concern of that. And then, he just also discussed that it's just not a lot of desire for commercial
Mhm.
renting that's not on highway visibility
Right,
wise.
and we knew that. We knew that was gonna be a problem.
So I think I think we need to move forward. I don't know anything about business with a business plan. I'm a healthcare person. So if we need a business plan, at least we went through and we have an idea about the flooring. We have an idea how much it would cost to paint inside. We have the air conditioning system. Whatever we do, we have to put money into this building anyway to do something with it. To make it
Even
either
if you-
fixable for us to work or to have a little parties or the book sale over there, or people could have their executive meetings in that board, or a book club would be another place option for a book club to be. So in my opinion, what else, we just need to figure out and either fix it up.
Sell it or
Or,
knock it down.
well, yes,
Knock it
yes.
Make a bigger
down, it's
parking
gonna
lot.
cost money, but then you'll get a
It
few
looks
more
good on the
parking
outside, though.
spaces.
I want to tell you what, that's a good looking building after our staff went over there and painted it and did what they did to it.
Yeah, it
I
looks
was at
nice.
the library for a meeting the other night, and that's a darn good looking building. Now, granted, it's got some drawbacks inside, but that's one of the things that you do when you lease. In other words, if someone wanted to really lease that and they said, fine, we're getting ready to spend, $30,000-$40,000, what can you do to help offset that? Well, fine, and what we'll do is we'll give you the first 3 months free, and we'll reduce the rent for X period of time. And you offset that to cover those costs, because when they leave, they can't take that stuff. All it does is improve your building. So
Right.
with all of that said,
Maybe it might turn
Jonas
it into
knows
something
that.
you can't use.
Jonas, well, but you approve what
Yeah,
they're going to
okay.
do,
Right.
okay?
Well,
So when Jonas makes those comments, I'm really, really disappointed in that from him.
well, and the other point was that Vicky sent out for the Lake Convention Center, Crenshaw, wanted to look at it. And so we sent the information to Jonas about that. I asked him if he heard about it, because she wanted to know who to talk to and call. And in following up with that, there was no, she called, there was no return call, so I don't know what happened with that.
He called me yesterday thinking, and left a message on my machine thinking he had called Morgan Crenshaw. So I called him back and said, you've got the library, you need to, this is the telephone number.
Well, then maybe he didn't at all, and
Yeah,
just told me a
so-
little bit of a
yeah.
hoo-ha. So I mean, I'm happy to call Morgan Crenshaw myself and ask her and get, and report back and to the board. I have no trouble doing that and asking her what her thoughts were they interested, and we got it. I don't know what happened to Jonas, but because I'm trustee board, I'll just call you and talk to you on a first base level.
And he may have called her yesterday after I gave him the.
Yeah, but that happened a long time ago. That call should have happened.
It should have,
That's
absolutely.
right. That's been at least a couple of
Yes.
weeks, if
Right.
not 3
Right.
before, because that was posted to everybody.
And
so
I,
everybody saw
right,
that.
and I recall, I referred Morgan to him, so. I don't know.
And we have to address Jonas. The reason being is we have to give him a 30-day notice. Otherwise, they're automatically going to renew this. So,
I've never had a realtor
no,
automatically
that's what it
renew.
says in here.
Okay, so they have
Okay,
an automatic
I don't
renewal.
know if you read it.
Mhm.
But
I've not seen
we
it.
do have to give him a notice that we're not going to renew his contract. We could let it go to the end of the year. It's not gonna hurt.
But it's a
But
waste of money if he's not gonna work for us to help us.
It's not costing us anything.
It's not costing us anything and we don't have an alternative at the moment.
Well, okay, and then I just, I still have this guy in the wings that I've talked to that, wanted to bring his stuff and just have it as a showplace. Not materials, but just to show what he can show and that kind of thing, but, I still go back to, we still have to fix that building up for whatever we do, put that money into that building.
Well, I think John was right. We need a business plan because there's, I just got through selling a commercial building and I had everything perfect. And the guy came in yesterday
Tore it
and
all
just
up.
tore it all out and threw it outside.
It's exactly what happens. Yeah, I would much rather just, if we're gonna sell the building or we're gonna let somebody, there's just all different kinds of ways to
Yeah.
negotiate that, so. I think we
Because
just need to decide.
yeah,
what we
a
do.
commercial.
I tell you what I will do, I will make a motion that 30 days, at least 45 days prior to the culmination of this contract, that we notify Jonas Farrell that his services are no longer needed.
And I believe even if it renews,
And I'll
realtors
second
will allow
the
you to do
motion.
that. I mean, they don't.
You
really
got a
have
30,
choice.
you can give them 30 days
Yeah.
notice anytime, I think.
Right.
It's in there.
Right.
too.
Yeah.
He's had it since
But-
February.
But you
Yeah.
have to notify him so that he doesn't automatically renew the contract.
Yeah.
I know, but you also have, I think, a 30 or 45-day time period at any point in the year where
Mhm.
you can
Cancel.
withdraw the contract.
Yeah.
So
30-day notice, we could withdraw.
Yeah, but just so it expires on December 31st or whenever.
Well, he's not doing anything,
Yeah,
so
Is there a
So-
second?
For what?
I
Sure,
second.
we got it.
45 days.
45
For
days
45
prior, yeah, so
days.
that it will
Yeah.
expire
It will-
12/31/23.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So there's a motion on the floor to,
Denise seconded.
okay, we got a first and a second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
to end the contract.
Yeah.
And give them 45 days notice. We'll get a letter out.
Okay.
And
So
then,
we can
and then we
start.
can discuss a business plan at our leisure. You know, the building's there, it's not going anywhere.
Well, we probably need to appoint somebody or get somebody to do the business plan. And that probably should be, maybe it should be that branch director.
Yeah, she doesn't know anything about doing a business plan.
No,
No, and besides, that's something for the,
New director?
well, it's either for the new director, but it's also, it could be a board issue, I mean, if anybody, I don't know if a director would have the experience unless he's done it before. I mean, that's the nice thing about that, is trying to find somebody who has that experience, that can do those different things. Of course, we could always try to tag you, Bill.
Yeah,
since you
no.
just did one.
But I just sold it, I didn't.
No, but I think you are qualified as far as being business and corporate and that kind of thing, to at least maybe help us out with a dry run if you should take on the task.
Sure, but all that's really required is to do the financial analysis. I mean, which any director should know how to do.
Right.
Right.
Well, we've got $5,000 of part of the paint and the flooring already done. What else? I mean,
You need to do an analysis of if it's gonna be used for the library system, what it takes to operate it, what the monthly expenses are,
and
what
if you
the
have
cost of
those.
personnel
But
to do it.
The personnel, because I would not like to send Mark over there. We cannot do without Mark here at this
But he
branch.
does a lot more than just mark.
Right.
We can't
Right.
Yeah,
lose him here. He-
No, I
And
understand.
not
That's
only
what I was
that, but we
thinking.
also have to evaluate, if we can sit over here and think about all these great things that, that space may do.
Mhm.
And if nobody shows up and you put a lot of money into that space,
Yeah.
then where are you?
So we probably
Okay.
should survey the public and find out, okay, if we did this, what
Well, one of
would it be
the,
used?
the guy that has the business over here, what is it, Vicky, that leases, he has space where people can come in
Oh, yeah,
and do-
Caesar.
and do day work.
The
Caesar.
exchange, yeah.
At the
Yeah, and
exchange,
he was,
yes.
the exchange, and he was interested in our building as a
Yes.
second location, and
Yeah.
he couldn't make it work.
And he put together a marvelous plan.
Yeah, he had a great plan,
And
but he
couldn't get
just couldn't make it
investors.
work.
Mhm.
And we offered to do a lot of things for him. So anyway,
So if
Would
he did
it
a marvelous
cost
plan, that might
to-
be the plan that we would use to use it.
well, depending
we could
upon
use
what,
those spring
well,
ones.
except that he was going to use it more as lease space, and he would rent space, and he had somebody even from the hospital that wanted to reserve a whole room for a year at a time.
Uh-huh.
Pay for all of that. So all I'm trying to say is he's put the financials together. That
Right,
could be a jump off point if that's the
Could
way
be,
we
yeah.
wanted to go.
right.
But if we wanted to rent it, okay, as opposed to using it for our own use, and
Uh-huh.
then you're looking at two different.
Yeah, I don't think
perspectives.
we want to keep it as a rental, because that's a whole
No.
different business
No,
than
no,
the
no,
libraries
no,
is
no.
in.
And we're not in the rental business.
Right,
Yeah,
so,
What about the air conditioner? I hate to bring this up, but some of the quotes were only good for 30 days and we're gonna run out of time.
I
So
looked at that one quote, B&B, that's a good quote. That's from B&B,
from B&B,
yeah.
I was also looking at the, unit itself. The particular unit that they quoted for, the American Standard,
mhm,
it's known for freon leaks, coil issues, and needs, frequent repair.
Yeah.
On a,
I'm not a B&B
and a-
fan, sorry,
and,
personal
it had
reasons.
out of 5
I
stars,
don't think they're a
between a
good
1 and
company.
3-star rating.
Wow, okay.
I'm not sure.
Affordable heating and cooling on this Luxair. I couldn't find any ratings, but they're offering a 10-year warranty on parts and labor.
You've done in, that's great.
Well, and
And,
they,
Well, it says it right here.
and they
and
do a lot of, I'm
Is that
sorry.
on the compressor and all parts? I
They-
mean, that's what.
Yes, yes, I
Yeah.
called
They
Kevin
do
and
a lot
asked
of-
him.
They do a lot of construction and putting in whole new systems, so
Affordable heating?
yes, I trust Kevin, Hall,
The only thing
Very
that is
much.
not included on here, because when I seen that, I thought maybe that was a typo. I thought maybe that was 1 year. So I called him and he said it was 10 years, parts and labor. The only thing and he didn't include like the thermostat or anything on here. That, and taking the old one out. That is included on here too. The only thing that is not included is the drain pan, which would be $350 additional. However, our maintenance guy did say that the drain pan looked solid.
well,
So,
so they can go talk to each other and decide, however.
I'm kind of surprised the guy would
And
quote
then
something for
on the
like $12,000 and not include the
train,
$350 drain pan.
well,
He
this
probably
was,
didn't think it was needed, so.
he didn't, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think
then,
that's always
um,
good to change anyway.
And then the train, it received both good and bad reviews. There were people who liked it, people who didn't like it. And then on the last one, that dream, it has a lot of issues. It was, the third worst rated on, the 1 to 7 ratings. As a matter of fact, I have, a RUD, which is part of Ream. And I just had the coil replaced. I just had the fan replaced. I've spent like almost $6,000 on, redoing my furnace.
How old
How
is
many
he?
years? How old was it?
How old is he?
It's probably like 10 years old. And so you should get at least 20 years out of a unit.
And mine is 30 years old, and that's why I told Vicky about a furnace, because Kevin came and, my house is 30 years old with the furnace, and I was having trouble 2-3 years ago. And everybody that came in to Gamma give me all want to just put in a new furnace. And he's like, no, you need this one piece of this one part, but it's kind of one of those parts that you have to look at and fix and get. And anyway, he saved me, the system of a whole thing by finding that part and doing it. Now, it was in midwinter, and I'm grateful that we had warm temperatures because I didn't have a furnace at that time, but
Yeah.
it's been fine since, and I've had absolutely no issues or problems at all. And I've known him for a long time. So I just have a personal preference of affordable. And I think we should think about, if we get into trouble this winter, if it's cold, and we're asked to help out as a warming place during the daytime, we need to be able to have that as an available backup.
I'm kind of used to, in the public sector, sending out like a request for a proposal to everybody. Do we not do that sort of
No,
thing?
you don't have to get it. You only have to get 2 or 3. You have to get 3
We
quotes.
got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them here.
And then on this first one, the B&B heating, then American Standard, when the people were rating it, they were saying they spent more money on repairs than the unit cost. So,
You probably have to be careful, though, that there's probably a difference between residential and commercial as far as quality of all of these things.
Well, that's true. Depending upon how that building's gonna be used, but that building is more structured, as a residential size and whatever. I thought it was really interesting that
Mhm.
Comfort actually said a 4-ton unit is over capacity, and he was the only one who did that.
Uh-huh.
And I do know that you create problems if you put in too much tonnage,
Yeah,
okay?
because the radio station, because of the equipment they use, they're producing a lot of heat.
Yeah.
And so they needed the overcapacity. So,
Well, I think that these all been good, but we really don't know what we're gonna use that building for. So, they didn't probably take this, we didn't just tell them we're gonna use this building for da.
Well, they
get
do it
those
based on,
thoughts.
they do, he indicated it depends on what your tenant is going to use the facility for. Agreed. I'm just curious, I guess my only question would be, let's say we decide to go with affordable. I don't have a problem with affordable.
Well,
Comfort Zone said that if he put in a 3-ton unit, it would be a little more than $11,000. So it's about $1,000 more than what, and it's a train. And I don't know anything about Luxair, but I do like a 10-year parts and labor warranty. but I would ask him, to take a look at that building and see if it does require 4 tons and, you know, do that. But, I mean, I don't mind, I mean, he is the second, I don't wanna go, it's not, I don't have any problems with B&B. I know him also, okay? I've had personal experiences with him and I have found him to be good. I am not a big American, you know, standards fan. My next door neighbor's had problems with his ever since his was installed, and that's been less than a year ago.
Yeah, that's
So,
what the
you
ratings
know,
were saying.
I don't know anything about it. Dave's comments were,
Well, actually, he said we should have probably had somebody quote the, as mini splits because of the rooms, you could do it that way. However, in talking to Kevin, while I had him on the phone about this, I did ask him about the 4-ton unit. And he said, well, if you change the size of the unit, then you're going to have to change the air handler and that could,
run your cost up.
Right.
Oh, is this
Right.
compressor only right now?
we're not, we have 2 units up there, so we're not even using that unit right now.
Okay,
And the inside unit is up in the attic. And if you notice, one of these, the Royal, I think it was, they quoted it both ways, only because I wanted to see which way would be less expensive. Once we figured, we got his quote first and realized that it was going to be more expensive to leave that unit up there and put it, the other one down, decided just, the maintenance guy said, you could just go ahead and have them quote what's there. So that's
Yeah.
kind of what we did.
Is that why the $14,600 was quoted
Yes, it's.
on Royal? Because he was gonna move that out of the
And
attic
they
and
can
drop
put
it
it,
down?
you're right,
Okay.
yes. He quoted it both ways.
Okay.
And a ream, unit is not a good unit.
I hate to hear that, I just bought one a couple years ago, that's what I have.
Yeah, I think
we have
I
an
get
American
what-
standard and it's done us very well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And, you know, it's personal experience.
Yeah.
It really is, you know.
yeah.
I hope-
Well, I think if you wanna call, I think that the consensus from what I'm picking up is affordable or comfort. I mean, out of the 4, is that not, I mean, what I'm understanding from you guys?
So
Maybe-
I'm a little confused by the thing in the attic. Is that the one we're replacing or
No, the
fixing?
outside unit.
Both
Is it-
of them, the
So it
entire
is,
unit.
it is the condenser and.
Mhm.
and,
So the air
Okay.
handler is getting replaced too.
Well, in the ductwork, if we would move, if we would, Kevin, and I'm not an expert at this,
Mhm.
maybe I need to ask more questions, that, if you would have to change the ductwork or the air handler,
Yeah.
if you would use a smaller unit.
Yeah.
That's how I understood the conversation with Kevin.
Hmm.
But I can go back and have them all requote something that's not as
We
big.
don't know that. I mean, personally, I think the thing I like the most, okay, looking at this from a warranty standpoint, 10 years parts and labor is selling this to me, okay? And it's, just right above the lowest quote.
Yeah, it's just
Okay,
a couple of $100.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
The
maybe consider getting a 3-ton if they just deem that.
Well, and you know, here again, if he's gonna require going in and changing all that other stuff out, I think Comfort threw in a $2,000 cost, you know, to do that. So, I mean,
Of course, the one air handler that's already down, there would be
Right.
no difference in cost. You'd actually reduce the cost to go down to 3-ton. Because you gotta replace the air handler anyway.
if that's,
If that's the
if
case.
that's the case, which I don't know.
Yeah, and
You
I,
know,
I
yeah.
can't see how you wouldn't because the refrigerants changed. I can't see how you wouldn't,
Change it.
but yeah, you would
if
have
you would go
to.
in a smaller size, correct?
Well,
Because there's no
sometimes
Freon
they would
anymore,
just-
there's a whole different coolant, right? We
And
don't
this
want
unit
But
is,
sometimes they can just change the, what do you call that thing, the coil in
The coil,
in the air handler.
yeah, the expansion, yeah.
that unit is, was put in there, since 1994, so the whole thing needs to be replaced.
It does.
It's just way too old for
Yeah, I was
Well-
gonna say it does.
And I just
Yeah.
like the afford, I don't know about Comfort, maybe, you know, they do commercial as well, but I just know that Affordable does a lot of commercial, build the big buildings and is residential. So it's just whatever the board wants to do that, but I also like the warranty part too.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe just narrow it down to pursuing those two. getting new fresh quotes?
What kind of quotes what do you want? I mean,
Well, I'm thinking even if they leave one in the attic, because they don't want to change that because of the ductwork, maybe there's a 3 ton.
Affordable's doing that, although Affordable didn't say anything.
No,
about doing
it's
it.
going back, they're all going back up into, between those two, it's
Yeah.
going back in the attic.
So maybe they could evaluate whether the 3 ton unit, leaving everything in place, saves us money.
The only cost difference in a 3 ton and a 4 ton, the only quote that we got was from Comfort, and it's only about $600 less.
Although there is it seems hard to
Maintenance.
imagine in that small a building,
Right.
needing 2 4-ton units. That just seems like you could do it with one
Seems like a bit of
unit.
an overkill, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Well, maybe that's because of all the equipment, the radio equipment that does produce all the heat, and so, I mean, the
Yeah.
way those two units are positioned, you've got the ones that did all of that part, that probably doesn't have the stress on it, that the one that's broken does, because it's right there behind those two soundproof places that had all that
Are both of
equipment.
those units the same age?
No, they are not. And I'm sorry, I don't recall the date of the newer unit.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I haven't.
And I
Delve
asked
into
that
this.
same question, but it is a newer
Did
unit.
either of them come out and look at the facility?
Who?
Yeah.
All of them came out.
They all came out?
They all came out. Oh, absolutely, yes, they all came out.
You know, Comfort did, because Comfort made a recommendation that we,
Use a smaller unit.
no, that we actually
To the train, the.
do the, stuff in the attic,
That was Royal.
no, it wasn't Royal, it was Comfort.
Oh, Comfort did that
Yeah,
too? Okay.
Comfort did that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm just,
Insulation.
Insulation, yes.
I'm just thinking for a 1,500 square foot building, one unit, if you just join the ductwork, should do the
Yeah,
whole
that's right.
thing.
Yeah, that's why I was asking how old is the other unit, because the 1 4-ton, if you take 2 4-tons, that 1 4-ton, just redo some ducting.
Yeah,
And-
we're not gonna have we're not gonna have a radio station in there.
No,
So we don't have to worry
So the
about
one-
that.
though,
It
you
should
could
handle.
actually, we should probably get a quote on what it would take just to reduce ducting off that existing 4-ton unit.
yeah,
Yeah,
because the one unit is actually working currently.
Yeah.
Did Dave go over and
Well,
talk
and
with
that
him?
depends
on
I
how old
think Alan did.
We had that
Well, they-
meeting there,
they
it was
both
more, and
did.
it
Okay.
wasn't,
But
we
they
had to
both
high-
didn't go
turn it
visit
high,
with
high
each
up,
one
just
of
to
them.
get that from the back to come up front.
And that's
You have
because
to
they don't
redo
have
some
the
ducting.
ductworks.
yeah,
Yeah,
you have to
I did
reduce
show
ducting,
Dave
which would be a
that-
lot cheaper
Right.
than.
The comfort zone,
Right.
because of all those other issues.
Right,
and
just
they
eliminate
take
the
care
one.
of
Right,
those
the-
issues.
Okay, all right.
But
Yeah.
if we want to get a quote for that too, we can,
Well, why don't we get, we have a quote from Comfort on a 3-ton. Why don't we get Affordable to, let's ask him the question. Just tell him it's been brought to our attention that we may be putting too large a unit in. And, 3-ton might work. What's his opinion on that? He may not even need to go back out, or maybe he does.
okay,
But what does the rest of the board think?
And what about the ducting? You guys
Yeah,
were
can we,
talking about
can we
the
get an
ducting.
estimate on the ducting? Just adding some ducting to the existing unit, depending on, that's why I was asking how old
think-
it was.
please don't
Yeah,
hold me to this, but
Yeah.
for some reason, 2004 is in my head, but that could be wrong. That
Yeah.
could be from something else completely. But I will find out when the date on that other unit, how old that other unit is.
yeah,
Okay.
But whether it's old or not, we may want it out of there, at least from a maintenance standpoint, up in the
Mhm.
ceiling and whatever. So, maybe we can have them come out and take a look and make a recommendation to us, Affordable.
Come out, get the quote and see what would be the
Yeah.
best way to do
Make a
this.
recommendation to us
Okay.
on what needs to be done and what the cost to do it would be.
Okay,
Can that building
run with
be
it.
sustained by one unit? The advantage of 2 units is when one goes out, you got the backup unit.
Mm,
So
Sure.
that is an advantage. So when we do away with it, you're doing away with that flexibility, but
Mhm.
it may be worthwhile to do that. And maybe you
And all
can
that
tell us
ducting is
that.
still there, right? All that ducting for both units is still
Mhm.
there.
yeah.
Motion? Do I need a motion?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So all in favor that you're going to, call
we don't-
Yeah,
Affordable?
we
We don't
don't need to. vote
No, no,
on it.
no, but I'm just saying, that you're gonna ask Kevin to come back and give us that recommendation.
Right.
And
I'll give him
whatever.
a call.
And Comfort if you need to ask them too, since those are the two that are comparable. Vic, just to I mean, give them both the options, right?
Well, I think,
Coverage kind of done that anyway.
but yeah, he's kind of done that. He's,
Okay, whatever, okay, so.
Because he gave us multiple quotes.
Okay, so moving on to the director's job description.
Okay, I'm going to move that we approve the new job description as written. I think it's a wonderful job description, and this would replace, the two. It would be just the one job description. And you had a question about it.
I have a question about a lot of
And
things.
if you read the first paragraph, it
Okay.
says the director serves at the pleasure
Mhm.
and under the broad policy guidance and direction from the Camden County Library District Board of Trustees.
That's a good thing.
And that was your big question,
No,
And
my
then-
big question was the second paragraph.
right?
It
But
says
that's
that,
answered in the first paragraph. What's the summary of work?
okay, the objection was all the work of the library shall be under the administration of the director, who is directly responsible for the efficient operation of the library and its services to the people within the library district. He is not. He's not directly responsible to them at all in any way, shape, or form. The original thing said, all work of the library shall be under the administration of the director, who is directly responsible to the board. That's the truth.
Well, he's also,
He's not responsible to
He's
the people. The
also-
people can't affect his employment.
oh, they can. They
No, they
can come
can't.
to the board and complain, and we can affect him out the door.
Well,
Or
then he's responsible to the board.
he is, it says in
He's
the
not
first
responsible to
paragraph.
the people. Sorry, we have to think of this not in emotional terms, but in legal terms.
Well, and I have to say,
It's a legal document.
in
That's
looking
what I've
at,
been saying. It's a legal document.
the MLA, Board of my Missouri State Library, that it talks about here on the library director, what it says is that the library director shall be appointed by the Board of Trustees and shall be responsible to the board. The library director shall be considered the executive officer of the library under the direction and review of the board and subject to the policies established by the board. The director shall act as technical advisor to the board. The director shall be invited to attend all board meetings, but may be excused from closed sessions and shall have no vote. So, to me, this all came from, somehow, there's a lot of the same verbiage.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So, I don't have a problem to taking out the part of to the people.
Right.
I have no problem with that, but I also would like to add that, what did I write? That he needed to come to the board, to meet with the commissioners. Part of that, job description is to be accountable and to report, at least 2 times a year to the commissioner, to the
To-
commission.
To the board, to the
To county
county.
council. Just to go and say,
That's
hi,
not
how are
his
you? This is what we're doing with that.
I disagree with that.
Yeah.
But you know what, I'll be real honest with you guys, you all at the new board, you all have your own ideas, and I'm just kind of a dinosaur at this point.
So far, I'm agreeing with the old board.
Yeah,
Okay, just want to be clear about that. I haven't deviated from the old board yet, because I don't see this as a new board, old board. We are the board, and the old board, if you want to refer
the board
to.
has new ideas, I mean.
They do,
bring-
but
has
we
a-
still have to
a
honor what
refresh-
came before us.
And you, after the last meeting, told me that you agreed with us and you would have voted for it.
And I, after reviewing it in detail, which I did in its excruciating detail, I found that one change, which I just don't agree with.
Well,
They're
yeah,
responsible to the board.
I went through
Simple
your
enough.
stuff really well, Bill, and, where you have your red lines that, you were, and what the director's activities of the staff under the library director was all underneath the personnel part of the new, document.
Mhm.
The prepared budget and consultation with the board, that's all part of the once a year, that is September morning is all addressed underneath the Board of Trustees
Uh-huh.
in that big stuff. Under finances, you did talk about the IT piece of separating out the IT
Yeah,
piece.
I think that's going to
Um,
happen eventually, but I don't have a strong feeling about that being wrong in terms of something to be corrected.
well, I'm just saying, to separate it out, I just added that the library director will be responsible for the continuing commitment of advancing technologies to our community, and that the library director ensures the IT manager is equipped and supported to apply for IT grants for continued access to the latest resources of technology, and innovations. So
You said it used to make a separate IT.
I did make a separate because you suggested it, so that's what I wrote for what my verbiage was.
Right, yeah.
I just pulled, and actually I looked at that and I went because of what our IT director does here. So I took part of what he wrote, and incorporated it in the fact that of what he is liking to do. Did you all read what Mark's was about? So that's where I came up with, part of the part of what, if you wanted to separate that piece out and just put it under inner technologies, because it, he talks about in conclusion, the library continues to prioritize technological innovation to better service community, ensuring that patrons have access to the latest tools and resources for personal and professional growth, which I think is fine. So if you wanted to separate out, I think that's part of what he does and what he sees as his position here, that to me, I have no problem putting that into a separate piece under internet technologies.
I think the IT guy also manages all of the technical infrastructure with the state and everything. Is that in there somewhere?
Well, that's kind of done with the director and Mark.
Yeah,
That's-
but Mark is probably the one.
He's
who
the contact
executes it.
person.
But I have here that the library director ensures that the IT manager is capable
Right.
of doing that. So it's ultimately the library director's responsibility
To
to
delegate.
delegate and use
Yes.
his employees
And then
as
oversee it, yeah.
needed,
So
as
is-
needed.
So, okay, all right.
So that's the only piece that I actually thought about doing, and, under the job description, I just wrote out that the director shall consent with the library board on the formation of library service projects, plans and policies. The director will seek board approval before administering them. The director is also the technical advisor to the board, should suggest policy and furnish data necessary for implementation. And the director carries out the details of the suggested changes according to the adopted policy.
So it sounds like you picked up some of my red circled items from the duties
Well, I was doing my due diligence to, bring attention to what you decided to change, to add, to what, and with your vision on the technology part. The other part was that, the integrity, honesty, and I just added, instead of our flexibility for thought that we had some concerns with last time, was that to be open to suggestions from the community, and is accountable to the board of trustees. Actually, it was that the library shall be under the administration of the director, who is responsible for the efficient operation and who is accountable to the board of trustees, which is, he's accountable to us, correct? I mean, we hire, we fire, we keep
Right.
them as part of the library job description. And then it went on to say the director must demonstrate the core values of motivation, integrity, honesty, and respect for others, a strong commitment to customer service, and be open to suggestions from the community. I'm trying to read my ins and outs here.
Yeah.
So,
Did you do anything with my blue items, my blue circles?
your blue circles.
My blue circles. One was really just a question. One of the blue circles on the duties document, it says the director shall receive on behalf of the library board under such rules as it may prescribe from time to time, books, money, equipment, and library materials as gifts, and shall be authorized to dispose of materials not required for the library collection or service.
I didn't do anything with that one.
I didn't know what that really entailed. Does the director get gifts from time to time?
Donations, I think.
Donations of things. And he can either, sounds like he could dispose of them himself, herself.
Um,
It sounds like that might be kind of like not necessary. Do you know any background about
Well,
that?
that's the duties of the library director. That's that second page that we're complaining to, which I
Yes.
think was just left out.
So
The other,
if we want to leave that out,
just
I'm
leave
okay
that
with
out,
it.
leave that out.
And
Now,
the other blue circle was the director shall be empowered to make such rules and regulations governing the use of library materials as are consistent with good and efficient library practice and economy of service. I'm not real a fan of the word empowered. I kind of think we decide everything, or he should bring it to recommendations to us and we make rules.
I didn't
Unless you
see,
just said policy, library policy.
well, and then to me, that is also underneath the library operations. So if you, you look down into the library operations, that, that says empowered to make such rules and regs governing the use of library materials. So when it talks about the works with the staff to oversee collection, development, purchase books, library materials, equipment and supplies, assist the patrons with service inquiries as needed, basis, maintains high quality standards of public service to our patrons, oversees
I didn't find that in my version of the new
It's-
document.
the library operations at the bottom.
Library operations. I don't see the word empowered anywhere.
We didn't use the word empowered.
You mentioned, I think you just said
You
that.
just said empowered. Are you
Yeah.
reading the?
No, I did.
Maybe you were reading my circled item and
I'm writing that, yes, I'm saying that your circled in blue is under the library operations, and
But
under the library operations on the new document,
it's not there.
it talks about, the empowered is not there, but it does
We
talk,
removed it.
Good, all right, good. I'm okay with that.
it does talk about works with staff, assists patrons with service inquiries on, and oversees and applies for grants.
So it sounds like you have a whole lot more notes on yours now than I had.
Well, because I added, because
Yeah.
what I did was, when you did your own red, I looked
Okay.
to see where it was documented. So it's under the summary of work, under the library operations, this was all under personnel. So
So you want to take the document and rewrite it
Yeah.
with all of
You
your
can rewrite
comments?
Okay.
it yourself.
I will do that.
And then we'll
Just
discuss
for
it
you
another
guys.
time.
Okay, one more review.
Okay,
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. All
Vicky do. Okay,
right, I withdraw my motion.
is there a second? To withdraw
I'll
my
second
motion?
withdrawing the motion.
Okay, moving forward. New business, everybody got a list of the board dates for 2024 board meetings. Vicky, do you know off the top of your head, or is this like the second or the third Fridays?
If the Friday, like, if the first of the month is on a Friday, the first or second or third on a Friday, then we're gonna have it on the third week,
Oh, okay.
because I have to get the bills in before I can pay them.
Gotcha,
Um,
okay,
so-
all right,
I like to have at least 2 full weeks before we do a board meeting,
okay.
just to
Okay,
make
so
sure I
are
get
these all
everything in.
Fridays then?
All Fridays, all
They're
9 o'clock.
Fridays, all
Some are the
Fridays.
second, some are the third.
Right, I can go through and,
No, that's, okay, I just, you know what, I love detail.
Did we switch to 9:15 so we can actually all get in the door?
Or 10 o'clock, it's even better.
John likes 10 o'clock.
As long as we're
I
done.
like that.
Yeah, when we have 2-hour meetings, I have a problem, because some Fridays I am in Jeff City, so, I'm committed to that, so I'm not opposed to 9 o'clock.
Maybe 9:15, just.
I'm not opposed to 9:15. Whatever you all want to do, it's up to you.
Because we just stood outside waiting.
So the time
No,
also.
okay,
Why?
stop.
You can come in the back door.
So this didn't get transferred from, John initially, when we were added to the board, invited us and told us that we need to come and park in the back lot, not in the front lot, because the
Mhm.
library doesn't open until 9 o'clock.
Right.
So everybody needs to park in the back.
How will it work at the other branches that we're going to be going to?
There's only the one spot, so we'll come in the front door.
Besides,
And we'll-
you'll bring a
and do
key.
they
won't
open at
you?
9?
Yeah, for the ones that are open, most of them are open.
Well, yeah, because the
Vicki will have a
manager
key
will.
for those.
The
So
key
then-
for those, and the manager will be there, because they're closed on Fridays for the outlying libraries. So it'll be us and whoever of the community that wants to come when we announce that we're coming.
So they'll have the door open at 9 o'clock.
They'll have the.
Oh, I'll get there, make early, make sure the door is
Yeah.
open.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes,
If we're not
Or
gonna
the
all
branch
ride out
manager,
together, I think that's a discussion to have when we get closer to that. That doesn't start till after the first of the year, correct?
right.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the 2024 board meetings dates?
A
Sure,
motion.
yeah, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, my president's comments, I really don't have a whole lot. I just really appreciate the ideas, and that were given to us, that, I should say, the branch, reports. I especially, well, you know, I wanted to appreciate Coley for going to bat with her marketing publications. That's quite a scan code, and I wanted to, I find out exactly how the new website is working.
Well, it was a soft launch, so,
Is it working? Is there any, I mean,
we're not having any problems with it so far, so good.
Now, I downloaded the app,
Yes.
but
Mhm.
it requires me to log in and I can't log in.
You don't have a library card?
I do,
Okay, so here's the app.
yeah. And where do I go to log in?
Account.
Go to account, yeah,
Okay,
And
add
what-
account.
yeah. And what will it do then?
Then you can put, I guess you can put your library card number in there. I did it and I didn't even,
Okay, I'll try it again. It
Yes.
didn't seem to work for me.
do you have an iPhone or an Android?
An iPhone. And I'm doing it on an iPad.
Okay. Here's
I just pull up the regular library
copies
site,
of our latest
to do that way.
between the pages.
I got mine.
So everybody's noticed the signs, and the One and No Safe Beach is already up, and so that's a good thing. I did want to just comment that I just applaud Marie Brown for getting out on Facebook and saying, you know, if you want the library to stay open, you gotta come to the library. I applaud her, and I support all of her efforts to keep that Stoutland Library open really, really well.
Do I have to enter that entire number?
Yes, the
Okay.
213200000. Yes,
Okay.
that should bring it up.
And as far as the other president comments, I wanted to ask the board if there are other places that we should be going to meet people. You know, the Rotary, do we need to attend a meeting and just identify ourselves trustees at the library to see if they have any thoughts or things about trying to get people back to the library? The Chamber of Commerce, I mean, do we need to be visiting those institutions to find out about those? Anybody have any comments about that? And then going, you know, to get out and meet and greet, you know, we are the ambassadors of the library, basically. And so if we don't ever go anywhere, I mean, I don't know, maybe John is up there in Jeff City telling them how great library
I'm
are.
not there for that. I'm up there for something else.
Did anybody go to the meeting of the library? There was a meeting of the
The
library.
MLA conference? No.
Yeah, okay.
Usually the director
No,
goes
there was I read there was.
in
a-
Columbia?
No, it was in one of the reports where they had the meeting of the library, the head librarians of all.
Oh, the branch managers?
Yeah, the branch managers.
Yeah, we held that meeting here.
Did,
We didn't get an invite.
I didn't see anything about that.
No, the branch managers we just come in and it's just the branch managers, usually myself and Coley.
I think that's something that we ought to attend, or at least attend one. How often are those? Are
We
those
just
monthly?
call them as we need them.
Okay,
Like if we want to discuss how we're going to operate the summer reading program, that was the main topic of discussion for
and
this one.
that's not an event calendar or anything like that, right?
No,
It's just
just throw a little,
the branch managers, yeah. What do you guys think about attending or being invited to the branch managers meeting?
I think we should all give it an opportunity to say, hi, how are you? And we can talk about ourselves and we learn about them. I don't see anything wrong with it.
okay,
Or just show up and listen, not be disruptive,
Well,
You know-
no, but I'd like to, you know, I've met
or
some,
however you would handle that. Yeah.
everybody, but.
But I'm wondering if we ought to be interacting with that, or is that something we shouldn't be doing?
Well, we're not micromanaging. The branch managers are in charge of the library. As long as they're keeping within the library policies that already been set by the board. Maybe that is requiring a closer look at the policies to make sure what's what and where we need to go with that, but unless there's something that's dramatically wrong, or if there's complaints about the branch managers that are,
Well, that's not something that you would do in a meeting like that.
Well, no, I agree, but I mean, my point there is that I'm not interested in micromanaging the branch
You want
manager.
to stop by and say hi,
That's a good
I think
idea.
that's a
I'm
good
just-
idea.
I'm just
But to
showing-
make it mandatory for the board members to show up.
No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't mean that, but I mean to show up one meet and greet and just listen.
Yeah, the
Just
first
not-
20 minutes, we can have a coffee and
not
say hi,
disrupt
hello,
or-
and if we
yeah,
wanna
not
stay,
even
stay,
interrupt,
and,
yeah.
yeah.
Not
just to see-
disrupt or be a part of it, just.
Check out how they run their meetings.
I would say that if the board wants to do that, I would recommend that at the next board meeting, before you all show up, that Vicky have an opportunity to just visit with them and let them know why you're coming, because the first thing that they're gonna do
They're
is,
gonna freak out.
why are they here?
Oh, I understand
What
that.
have we
I
done? So
understand that,
if
yes,
Vicky can
absolutely.
soften the blow.
Yes, yes.
I
yeah.
think it
You
would
know,
be
it's a
helpful.
matter of
Yeah.
introductions and
Perfect.
coffee
I-
and
yeah.
get to know, it's a
We can
meet and
do that.
greet.
We don't do it very often, but next time we have one, I will absolutely let you know when they are. I do have a couple of issues. We haven't decided on if we want to put a salary on the Indeed, because if we don't, we cannot post there. I believe we need to post there.
I agree.
Ooh,
I agree.
yes.
And I made a recommendation, Bill made a recommendation, I don't know. what
I
the
agreed
rest
to
of
it.
Okay, so what,
It's you,
Was it
Adam.
68,000?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
remember off the top of my
I
head.
So that we would,
Yeah.
we would go with what the,
Were we just saying
We
We only had,
68,000?
we only had to post the minimum salary.
right, the minimum salary,
Okay.
the one that
Commensurate on
is,
experience.
that is 68,418.34 according to our 2023.
68,000,
We
period.
decided to
Yeah.
round it so it doesn't sound
68.
silly.
Okay,
68.
so I don't need a motion for that?
I don't think so.
No, I think we should
I
vote
was
on
kind
it.
of all, I thought it
procedural.
was all agreed to before we.
I
Procedural,
didn't, I
yeah.
didn't get it that way,
Yeah.
but sorry.
No, I got
uh,
it the same way you did. I mean, I thought it was all okayed and then, all conversation from you was like, no, we can't do this without blank lines and that kind of thing.
And
So
that's
I'm
because we
like,
don't really have any rules.
we do have the rules.
I will get this started at our starting salary will be 68,000.
Mhm.
Also,
Doesn't want to
the,
do it just like
Library
this, I wanna do it
Journal.
here.
if we want to advertise on their website, it's going to cost us, a basic listing is $350, 30 days. I think that's worth that.
I do too.
That's with, who's that, that is,
Library Journal,
okay,
it's a publication.
Okay.
They don't no longer advertise in their actual publication. They have a job list. It's called the Job Zone.
And it's on the web, there's a website.
Yes.
That they go to. Then I think it's a good place to be.
And I did talk to the HR director from the Kansas City Library and ask her, you know, what they do and how they do, and do they share jobs openings and stuff. And her answer to me was that she contacts different HRs around Missouri because they're a bigger, more library. And so she's aware of people who might be moving and might want to look elsewhere and so forth. And so she kept that on. She said that in the past, you know, she said they've had a director maybe for, you know, I think the lowest she said was like a year and a half, 2 years. And then that director had moved, husband did something or whatever, and they had to move. So then they had to do another one. So they did that. She said that there were, I asked her if she ever used the hunt headers, what do you call them?
Hunt headers,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. And she said, we do, but she had different ones that she used, and she recommended not to use the one that she told me about. And so, and then I got an email from Sean Morgan, who understands that we had a director position open in Camdenton, and he'd gone through the job description and had several candidates that would be excellent. I copied my email.
I have,
And who is it?
I got the email as well, and so did Coley.
Who
It's
is
like
he?
a scam.
Well, he says he's a business development manager with W3 Global.
Yeah, he's a
So-
headhunter.
I
Okay,
went-
he's a head.
I went back and said to him, certainly, send us all
I
your
didn't even open
resumes,
it.
but I also said, if there's a fee for this service, I'll need to know so I can check with other trustee members. And he wrote back, thank you much for your response. I really appreciate your time and consideration. We usually work on a one-time fee, which is 18% of the candidate's base salary, and the payment terms are next 15 days. Net 15 days, I can give you a warning period of 90 days with, as an additional benefit, to the candidate resigns or gets terminated, But his thing was just for director. It wasn't specific to library director. So I just said that I because I follow up and I don't ghost anybody, I just followed up and said, we have a board meeting on Friday, we have candidates that we're considering, and I'll let you know after our meeting. So until I hear differently that, we, need to figure out, or we're not getting this, or we're not getting that about a candidate, I'm not gonna do anything with this unless we get to a point where we need to have a headhunter to help us with that.
I think you'd have to be desperate before we went to it.
Well, we have two very viable candidates at this point in time, so we have to go from there.
I was gonna say, Indeed also does, like, how Facebook does a boost your post if you pay. They can boost our post and use it as like a sponsor post. We would set a budget and it is a pay-per-click. So if we decided we wanted to spend $350 to boost that, once we reach that mark, then it would go back to your standard posting. So if,
How long does it stay boosted?
well, that depends until our money runs out. If we have we decide to budget.
Yeah, well, I didn't know what the boost cost was. You said $300. I didn't know if that was
I don't know how much
if
they
that was a
charge per,
base fee or
it's
what.
per click. They charge you so much per click.
So that's
But it
your
didn't
budget.
really say.
So you set a budget of 300 and they'll do it as long as it,
As long as the
300
money
runs
is
out.
there, correct. And then once that runs out, it goes back to your regular free post.
Well, then, and correct me, at the MLA, it only runs for 2 weeks, right? So we have
I
that,
will
have
up
that, and have
I
them run
didn't-
that again,
On the job list, I thought it was 30 days, but I will check that just to make sure.
just to make sure. So then I have a question. So is there any, I want to, well, Vicky and I had, decided between the two of us, since our names were on the, receiving of the resumes, that she would, copy and send them out to you all.
Forward the email.
Forward the email that she gets to all of you. My job is gonna be to respond to the email and in some sort of a conversation piece of, thank you, we've received your info, I appreciate your interest in our library. And so I need to know how would you all like me to end that conversation? So I want a statement basically to do whatever, and then I wanna ask, is there a time that we need to follow up? So, for instance, the first application we got was the 2nd of October, right as we put it out on the library director website.
Mhm.
I got that application immediately.
right?
The second one I got just this week, right before this meeting. So, I need to follow up with the first applicant because it's been 2 weeks already. I mean, I don't know how long to let, so I guess I'm trying to figure out.
We expect to make a decision in December.
Or
I don't
actually,
think we need to give them a time. They don't need a time. I mean, and I certainly don't see you following up with them. Oh, by the way, it's been 2 weeks, so you were still looking. I mean, that's something they're used to from a job description standpoint.
Well, and if they write me back and they're saying, how are you coming on your research? I guess my pat answer is that the process is
The process is
continuing,
ongoing.
is ongoing.
your answer.
And, yeah, so, yeah,
Okay.
something to, that affects, it's in process.
And we
we're just
don't know what we're gonna get. We've got 2 candidates. I don't know how anybody feels about the candidates, but they may not feel that they're what we'd like to have. So we just keep getting until we can set a deadline, but until we get a candidate or candidates that we want to consider, then I think it should stay open. I mean, that's why we left it open, I thought, instead of putting a drop dead date on it.
I guess either way might fight us because some candidates might move on if they don't hear back from us until the end of the year,
And they may, but I'm not sure about these 2 candidates particularly, since they're both local.
Right.
Also, do we need to discuss some of the criteria of what we're actually looking for?
No, not right now.
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
all right, so
so then I want to go back to this, our email conversation really quick.
I think you suggested that Adam and I should come up with a policy.
I did suggest that, and then,
And we'll do that.
Vicky, supposes to give us this policy. And then there are the sunshine laws apply to emails too, conversation, documents to have.
But it's all
so you're
very
going to, you are going to work on a,
policy
managing-
for us.
an email policy?
Because a lot of the emails that we're I think right now we're just keeping a copy of every email, and some of the emails are not worth keeping.
Uh,
And
Any form of, my understanding from the sunshine law is any form that we talk to or in any kind of goes into a file. So
Yeah, but
anybody
not-
wants to,
you have to consider the purpose of the sunshine law, that its purpose is to make the community aware of things, of decisions that affect them and that affect the use of the library. And, you know, forwarding a news article is not one of those things. Saying hi is not one of those things. Saying I got it is not one of those things. We have to do something proactive to let the community know what's actually being discussed.
well,
So we will work on that.
you also brought up, the part on our own website, that the mission is not,
It isn't the mission,
it isn't the mission.
right?
And
You go
so,
to the bylaws, you find the actual mission.
you know, it's like you had mentioned that you'd like to see the library have a better understanding of our accountability.
Mhm.
And we hold ourselves accountable to our patrons, peers within the library, and expressly to our community.
Right.
So if we hold ourselves accountable, to whom are we accountable? Well, for sure to each other, I think here,
Right.
in sharing and being honest, and, you know, we can agree to disagree, and it's all good, wonderful. But the part where the commissioners are, they elect us, but we
They
are,
appoint us.
They appoint
oh,
us
well,
and
okay, I
they
said that word.
unappoint us.
They appoint us and they,
I don't
and,
think they can unappoint us.
Well, they
No.
can let us expire,
They can let us expire.
right?
and then if there's and then if we aren't doing something right, and they're looking at our stuff and we're not doing something, then that can propose problems, and that's up to them that way. But we are accountable to, I think, the community and to each
In
other.
an emotional way, but not in a legal way.
Um,
The community has no control.
no, but we are
communities
supported
can-
by public funds.
Yes, and the community has no control. They don't get to decide whether to give the library money or not. Only the county commission, we're accountable to the commission because they appoint us, and they can not appoint us next time. And the commission is accountable to the people because they elect them. From a legal point of view, there's accountability that has real consequences. And saying we're accountability to the public has no real consequences.
Okay, well, so do we need to adopt a different mission?
Yes, of course we do. We could actually adopt the mission that's in the bylaws. That's the
I will
mission.
get that on the website.
Yeah.
I will have that changed.
Well,
I don't know if
We are dealing with this job description, I believe actually has legal ramifications. It needs to be treated as a legal document, as a binding document.
Sure.
So, yeah,
So then, for the next meeting, our goals for the next meeting are,
Are we setting an agenda kind of?
yeah, we are kind of setting an agenda, kind of. Yep, I think we should.
Okay,
So I think you have enough time to work on, the sunshine laws with the emails. We need to decide if we're gonna do that, and if we're not gonna do emails, how should we do that?
Okay,
Just have meetings?
There's no reason for that.
for what, having meetings?
We can have meetings, okay, and we can communicate with one another. You're right. We just need to have a good understanding of
What things.
what
need to
the
be-
sunshine law requirements are, okay? And that's what you guys are gonna
Yeah,
do.
exactly.
Bring it back to us so that, and, when we answer back to one another, like, okay, got it. I'll be real honest with you guys, don't hit respond to all, unless it's a respond to all. If it's to say, hey, I got the stuff you sent me, Vicky. You want to let Vicky know, just reply to Vicky. Don't reply to all of us, because I don't need to know that you
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
I did not respond to all the wonderful stuff you sent me, and I got
And you don't
everything.
have to.
Because I didn't want to add to your email load. So like,
if it doesn't bounce back, I figure you received it.
yeah, and so I don't do got it. So
That's fine. That's fine, I understand.
So, but I did want to say thank you, and I always will appreciate,
welcome.
yeah, when you get all that stuff to us. That's a joy.
Yeah.
Is
So-
there, Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, well, we're talking about the sunshine law. So
Okay.
do you guys want this? Because Vicky did send you out the sunshine, the Tom things to
When
know.
did you send that out?
I sent that out to everybody. That's just something we had
And-
a long time ago,
I
resolution.
sent out.
Oh,
And the
It
RSMN,
needs to
the
be
one
done
that
back in
that she
2009.
had that we
Send it
fixed
to
in
me.
2009. So do you have that to take that into consideration of
Yes,
what's
I
already
have that
there?
also.
Because sounds to me like it's a policy already, but we're gonna be amending this policy.
It was a
Yeah.
resolution that,
Yeah, it's not enough, it doesn't
It's not
include all the
detailed
modern
enough?
factors, I guess.
right.
Okay, so do you guys want these are two, the one is just, I put out on the website just to look for sunshine law stuff, because I'm, learning too. And the other one is at the University of Missouri's, email managing electronic mail guidelines and best practices. Do you
I'd
want
like to
these?
see all that, or can you
You can
email
have
it, or, okay.
You can have it.
tell you what, why don't you give it to Vicky and then Vicky can just send it to everybody?
Do you want, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe,
I'm sorry, I
sure.
Those are just two informational packets to read, to give you more
That way the
information.
rest of the rest of the board is kind of up on some of the stuff that you guys are considering.
so I will scan this and
Yeah,
send
scan it
this
and send it to everybody.
everybody. Okay,
There's two different,
all right.
things there, and then your top 10 list that
Or
you sent
maybe
to all
you
of us
can,
again.
yeah, I guess it doesn't matter.
What's that?
Oh, I was just, if it's scanned, it'll be like a
A
picture
PDF,
or a PDF.
No,
and
make PDF out
I
of it.
can't cut and paste out of that.
right.
She can always scan it and send it as a Word document.
She could try,
I'm gonna give it, I'll give it a go.
or maybe maybe you can find out where it is on the web and get it.
And then, right.
It's a whole thing. So give it a try.
Well.
I like Word documents because you can't cut and paste. It's hard to cut and paste.
Yeah.
PDF.
unless you have the right software.
Right, you have to have the
The
right software to
converter.
do that.
Okay, so then, that's the discussion for you guys with the sunshine, and then the rest of us will look at those and get ideas from. And then we need to discuss the mission, so I think everybody needs to
Well,
look
I
at the
think
mission.
I thought is a mission not what we want? Where did you say it was?
It's in the
It's in
bylaws.
the
It's in the
bylaws. Look at the
bylaws.
bylaws. If we disagree with the mission there, then we can,
Actually, the mission and the bylaws is fine. It
Right.
just doesn't match with the
it
one that's
doesn't
on the
match with,
website.
yeah. And
Okay,
so,
I'll give
you
you
know,
that.
if there's a disagreement with it, where we can look at it later, but
Mhm.
until such time, we ought to move it forward from the bylaws
I will,
to the website.
So you-
I will get
And
that
replace
changed.
it. Replace
Absolutely.
what's there.
Yes.
I agree, okay. Is there anything else that I'm missing up for discussion that we need to discuss?
I did, but before we run off, I did want to get back to reports, the monthly reports real quick. And that's why there are some things I was just trying to get my head around, the budget and the monthly reports, all the stuff that we get.
That might be a big enough topic that maybe you should write a recommendation. Cause I'm with you,
I'll do that.
I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose. at
What
times.
would you, well, okay, we need to, yes, please let me know what you would like to see and what you would not like
I'll
to see.
just put up an email that, I could do that, right?
But some of the stuff you have to see because you're approving it on the
Oh,
agenda.
no, I don't mind seeing it. No, I wasn't complaining about seeing it. I thought it was great. I actually
Okay,
liked all that stuff. We're a little overburdened now because we've got to get a director and we've got to pass a budget. But this stuff, I like this stuff.
and I'm going to
And I
separate
eat
it
this
out
stuff up.
in separate things so that I don't bombard you if that's okay. I have some-
Vicki, can you just put the tops over so that it's the Camden County,
Sure, center that.
center it up, because I'm always,
can.
I'm looking at it, then on the several stuff, moving it over.
That's on the bank reconciliations?
The
What is-
library, yeah, the operating
Bill,
accounts, that kind
is
of
there some
stuff.
information you'd like to see, or you'd like to see it
You know,
formatted
just there.
differently? or-
I think it's the
Adam, same
format.
question, I guess.
No, so.
It's kind of like I'm
Go
getting
ahead.
a stream of emails and then responses to emails, and all of this stuff is kind of embedded in there. What would be really nice from my point of view is if we set up a Google Drive and it just had all the documents in there, and I have one link that takes me to that Google Drive, and I can pick and choose which, as I'm going through things. It's
Well,
like all in
Like
one place
Dropbox or
then.
Google Drive, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't use Google Drive anymore, we
Instead of
use
having them-
OneDrive.
Oh, you're a Microsoft person.
Well, let me back, no,
OneDrive is
not
nice.
really. But they were charging us so much for our Google Suite that we decided that we would go to Microsoft Office with the free
Good
one.
for you.
Yeah,
Yes.
OneDrive.
Yeah, OneDrive is fine with me too. 'Cause then-
Well, she's gotta send certain things out, okay?
She
She's
can
required
send
to
a
do
link.
that, and, you know, if you don't want what's being sent to you, don't open it. Open it. If you don't want it, do away with it. You don't have to keep it.
Yeah,
You know?
I just want to do the right thing. And if she's sending me things to review, I don't want to ignore them and delete them.
Right, well,
But
she,
if they were in OneDrive, they would just accumulate there and then I can just go there and see them all in one place.
well, she sends you, documents that relate to the board meeting and information that would be helpful at the board meeting, and she identifies those in her email, okay? And the attachments, okay? So it's not like she's sending those throughout the month. She sends them, a week before or a
And the
couple of days
Wednesday.
before.
Yeah, try to
Yeah,
get,
right. So you're only getting those in probably 2 emails, unless for some reason she's had to.
And what I'm finding in my email is these 15 things got in through my email.
Right.
Right.
It's
Not
easy
just
to
from her,
miss.
from
Yeah,
people
well-
saying I got it and, or commenting about it.
okay.
And then when the time comes time for the meeting, I'm poking around and seeing where all the attachments are.
Yeah,
Don't you move those over and put them in a file?
Well, that's the equivalent of, it would be much simpler if it's in OneDrive rather than me having to make it each time. But I can do that, if that's what you decide.
Or you can print it out like do and kill a tree.
Oh,
like
you
I
can do that, or, you know,
Because I like
everybody
to
has their own way of
see.
doing it.
Exactly.
You know,
Whichever you're comfortable with.
Vicky, what do you put it in OneDrive now?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I
So
do not. I send them
where
as
is it then?
attachments.
Is it in your own?
It's in my
on your
drive.
PC and you just
Mhm.
send out attachments? Okay.
so
Well,
I do have, the other thing about monthly reports is I saw a monthly report, that did jump out at me. So it says, Page Turner's Book Club was down also. Page Turner's Book Club was down also. I am hoping that I'm hoping that will pick up, and the numbers were down,
Mhm.
pick up. Now that people are, done vacationing. Our book choice for September was to read a banned book. Do we have banned books?
They will just pick a book that has been banned and they will read it probably and discuss it.
well, this is a report from the.
Branch managers.
Branch managers.
Yes,
Branch
it
managers
is. It
report,
is.
yeah.
What's a banned book? Do we have? a
Oh,
banned book?
let's see. Well, you can just look at
Mein Kampf.
Google
Yeah.
banned books. What is the
I
one
mean,
by 20?
there's age appropriate. There's age appropriate and stuff like that.
Now,
but
I didn't think we had any banned.
I didn't
books in
think
the library.
that to me
That we
sounds
what?
like, that
That we-
sounds to me like virtue signaling, like a political statement. And I think the words could be chosen better.
Okay.
Maybe books of controversy or something like, but banned books,
Or books we didn't order, maybe?
yeah.
No.
Or whatever, or
It sounds like the board banned them or
it sounds like we're
something.
book burning.
Okay.
It sounds like
I
somebody's
think
having a book
clarity's,
burning party. And I know where that's coming from. Well, I have a pretty good idea where that's come from, but it doesn't need to be, you know, I don't want to see reports politicized or using
Okay.
words like that. We don't have banned books.
No, we
I
don't.
mean,
But there is a list of banned books. To Kill a Mockingbird, Catcher in the Rye, The Bluest Eyes.
Right.
Kill a
Why are
Mockingbird
they
is a
banned?
banned
Yeah.
book.
Yes.
Is it banned book?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Well,
That's
read
funny,
those
was giving
in
my
high
kid
school.
to my kid in freshman year to read.
I
in
know.
high
That's,
school.
that's what they were
And I-
talking about. Not that we banned them,
Yeah.
that they are,
Who banned them?
Why are they banned?
well, you would have to find.
Well, if you, I mean, and it's different
There's a-
libraries around the area have different banned books. I mean, just Wentzville up the street has got a whole list of things that they're banning, and it's a whole hoopla
I
up in
guess I'm an
there.
old guy, but
Well,
I'm
I
an English
think,
literature major. We read all of those books.
Right.
Yeah.
We're required to,
Yeah.
Times have
I'm not-
changed, Bill.
I guess.
Okay.
I think if you do.
I like your comment. And when you see that kind of stuff, those are the kinds of things that need to be, you know, brought up, and so that Vicky can take, you know, make a
Absolutely.
recommendation and say, let's just change the verbiage in
Yeah,
that.
change
It's-
it.
it's
I
how
hate
it
to
may
get
be-
micro,
how
I hate
it
to get
may be.
micro, but that
That's
one
not
really hit me.
that's not micromanaging, that's the image of our library.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Which
Yes,
we have the responsibility to have some control.
Which brings up some of the back stuff this last summer about all the LGBT stuff that was right out front when you walked into the library in Osage Beach. And that was a big, like, oh my goodness, kind of thing for people. So we're not banning that, but that's where that,
We need it.
positioning those places in age appropriate places.
They are, and they're all marked. Everything, all of our displays are marked age appropriate.
But I didn't
And our
like,
posters
I,
that was part of the new rule. And we're in compliance with that. That's all been done.
well, and,
So is
I
yeah,
did not
because
want to
that
open
affects
up
our
a big bag
funding.
of worms, but that one report stuck out and I had to say something about it.
No, that's fine. I will mention that
Yeah.
to the branch manager, of course.
Okay.
And if you know Claire, she's as sweet as can be, and I'm sure it's nothing meant, and she just needs to be a little bit more, the band book from not our library. Somehow she just needs to address that differently. But I
I think
also,
that's interesting that they
Updated.
pick
Is this
band books to
updated?
I've
read
been
so that
passing
they
it
can
around for
discuss
Oh,
it.
we gotta say.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes like they will, do a theme, book clubs are just
Yeah.
different, so
Oh, I know
that
they do, and everybody
Yeah,
picks, yeah.
different
right,
ones.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Jenny has her own idea about, they read, instead of picking a one book to read in their book club, from what she's told me at Max Creek, they'll have one author, but they'll have 5 books of that same author, and they'll discuss that as well. So they're all doing a little bit different. We
Yeah.
appreciate all of that, so
Right.
that's the
And
thing.
everybody has the
Well,
flexibility that they need.
Band Book Week is October the 1st through the 7th, so that's probably where that came from.
Yeah, yeah.
Band Book Week, that's an activity of ours?
No,
National.
national, no.
Oh. Oh,
We don't have band books.
We
okay.
we have a lot of school teachers in our libraries, and, so they're trying to look and educate the public, and, it's good conversation. It gets people interested in what's going on in the country by reading some of these books, so more power to them. I just think, I agree with Adam that it's just the way it was written. And, no fault of Claire's. I don't think that was an intentional, a way to do it at all, so.
That's probably just been a term that appeared somewhere,
Got alliteration.
and they just picked it up and dropped it in there.
Well, it's kind of like Dr. Seuss, they banned Dr. Seuss, and yet if you go to the Stoutland Library, there's a wonderful, Dr. Seuss books, the whole litany of those books out there. I am curious though, too, about the libraries, if they have certain authors that they use versus certain authors that they don't have at their particular library. And is that based all on their community and what they're asking for and what they're looking to read?
Branch managers will
I signed
place
in
their
the wrong
order
place.
based upon the demographics and what they like in their area.
I signed in the wrong place.
Let me see. Where did you sign?
Wrong line. Paralyzed.
You signed on my name.
I did?
I'll sign on yours.
Okay.
All right? And we should be fine.
Okay, so.
I'm sure April will be okay with that.
Other
Just
than,
Okay.
Put an arrow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
so for the next meeting, at least on the agenda, as well as the normal agenda that we have, we're gonna be talking about the sunshine law according to emails and that policy, and go over that,
Well, we will be reviewing,
what they have,
proposed policy for the
Yeah.
Camden County Library.
correct.
Right.
We'll be looking at the job description that I'll type up and deliver to everybody ahead of time, so everybody, please be prepared when you come to these meetings, because it's really important that everybody is, up on what we're doing. And then the other part is the mission.
Statement, right?
You're gonna take care of that, and, if, however we do it out of the book is fine. And then if anybody else has any ideas, for discussion, we need to plan, the policies you're working on with the chapters and numbers, so you're doing that part, and, I think that's it. We're just waiting on more resumes, but I'm just, I still am uncomfortable not having some sort of an idea of what to state back. I mean, it's been 2 weeks for the applicant A.
That's not long.
Well, what's
I know.
the holdup now?
Well, just a follow-up. I mean, if they reach out to
Thank you,
me
we
and it's,
received your resume and we're
Yeah.
proceeding.
yep, and that's what I say.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I
That's
say.
it, period.
And I don't
they
have to do anything until they till they call and ask me, or they send me something, and then I have to reply.
And it also gives you an indication as to how,
Interested they
are.
how, yes, how dedicated they are to wanting the job.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so we need,
Just don't want to take liberties.
So,
Wrote on
if there's
purpose.
no other questions or concerns about anything, can I make a motion, hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
gonna close this, I think that should do it.